thank you for joining. Um, as we let people come in, yeah, in the chat, say hello. Oh, good, thank you. Say hello. Let me know where you're coming from, what part of the world you live in. Also, let me know what's on your wrist today. Um, it's always a good way to start. It is raining here. We have had a pretty heavy storm, and I have three very wet dogs running through the house now, which is a downside of dogs. Is it's wet outside, and they want to be outside, and they can't go outside, and they're not happy about that at all. Make sure we've got everything right here. So as I've gone through this, I just had this moment of chasing this around. YouTube's changed the studio, and all of their how-to doesn't look the same anymore. So I'm like freaking out for the last half hour. And actually, it turns out I was right. So it was much easier. So let me get down to, yeah, as you're joining in the chat, just type in where you're coming from and what's riding your wrist today. I've got on today, I've got on today, it's hard to see, it's SpongeBob, it's Spinnaker. This one's called I Spy. This is yellow. This was one of the watches that I got in my collection of character watches this year, which was actually a pretty major trend for me. And that was an intentional trend. I had planned on I wanted to get character watches. It was something I had been looking for, and it really started with getting my where is it? Get all my watches out here. My Mickey Mouse Ciosa, which is over here. So that's the Ciosa, Mickey Mouse Ciosa. And I knew when Citizen released this, because Citizen has this massive amount of character watches, because they have Star Wars, they have Marvel Cinematic Universe, or Marvel, I guess, and then they've got all of Disney. And so while Disney does licensing with a lot of other companies, Citizen has it all. And so I knew I didn't like exactly what they were releasing in character watches, but I knew when they released this one, Ciosa is a serious watch. And I knew when they released this one, it was going to be, they were taking it seriously, and they knew collectors liked it. So that was one of my major trends for the year, was character watches, which I'll go through here in a minute as people are joining. Let's see. Which one is better, chronograph, dive, tachymeter? Well, tachymeter is usually on a specific type of chronograph, but there are different types of chronographs, and they measure different things. And so it's kind of like chronograph. Actually, it's a deep dive because you can have a dual or a triple, and they do different things. And sometimes you can even have a quad, because that's what the perpetual calendar, I think, has a quad. And they do different stuff, and that's technically not a chronograph. That's a perpetual calendar. But you usually will see a tachymeter, though. For me, in general, I kind of conceptually know how to use the tachymeter. I've never actually used it, but it's kind of like it's a measuring speed through distance and stuff like that, and it's like a mathematical thing. Oh, Finland, hello. Recently produced Longines Heritage Classic. Oh, the Sector Dial, that's beautiful. Waiting for your first brew. Yes, that's exciting too. I think Brew is an awesome company. In the last video where we talked about microbrands, building onto your 5-watch collection with microbrands, someone made actually a pretty salient comment that Jonathan might have narrowed his possibilities by being so coffee specific. I'm not really sure I agree with that totally, because I do think that it would work over time they'll be able to play with other stuff. Plus, he's an industrial. He's an industrial designer, and I think he'll be able to come up with some more interesting things too. But this metric took off. Idris Elba wore it at a press conference, and it's like it just went everywhere. And then Nico Leonard specifically singled out the silver, all silver with the silver dial, and it sold out in a minute. Like it sold out so fast, and it took him a while to get that. Sound is working fine. Awesome, great. And but yeah, I think the Brew is like such an interesting company, and it's on my list. So it was one of the things I was talking about today. Was my list was trends for what was happening in the in my collection this year, and then also what I'm expecting for next year. And as I was saying, the big trend for me became character watches. That was one of the big trends. And so if I pull these up, I'm going to knock everything over here. Let's see. As I said, the first one started with the Citizen Ciosa Mickey. And then, but actually that's not true. Spinnaker got a hold of me, and I knew they were doing SpongeBob. This one is Gary the Snail. Do I have that up the right side? Gary the Snail. This was the one that first got me because I knew that Spinnaker had been doing SpongeBob watches, and they were cute, but I was like, I don't know. But this one was interesting when they did this particular line because it was conceptual. It's scary. It's Gary the Snail if you know the series, but if you don't, it looks like an interesting spiral design. Then they released this other version, and I forget for life of me what this was called. But this one is this is the Croft skeleton. That one, the other one was Floose. This was the Croft skeleton, and it has that triple spoked second hand, which I thought was super cool. I'm not a big fan of skeletons, but this was cool. I thought this was really cool. Was a little concerned about the color. The strap itself was pink. It was a coral pink that matched the bezel, and I've swapped the strap out just because of the strap. I just wanted to try something different, and I had this strap, but actually it didn't bother me. It was actually, I wear these colors a lot, so it was okay. Then they did Popeye, which this is one of my most worn watches of the year so far, and I just got it. And then Swatch released their Moonshine Gold Mission to the Earth face, and it's hard to see, but Snoopy and Woodstock are on there. My camera doesn't want to focus. And then that's when Spinnaker released these. So that's SpongeBob, and his eyes are actual dials. This one is 24 hours. That one is 60 minutes. And then because I couldn't decide, and I was ordering these way late, they also have this black sketch version. And I thought, well, I don't know which one I like. I've been building one of my collections as a mini collection of all black watches, including black case. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. That's so cool. This one I actually wore quite a bit. This one is, I think, 9 or 10 times, and I just got it not too long ago. I really love this. So, and then the last thing was, I think I've told some of you that I had to put my dad in a nursing home or assisted living, and I had to clear out the house and get it sold. And August was an interesting month for me. Let me tell you, I didn't know it was possible to do that much. But one of the things I found, my grandparents never wanted to get my mom a Mickey Mouse watch when she was a kid in the 1940s. And so when I was cleaning the house out, I found the Mickey Mouse watch. I think I was trying to figure out where she got this. I think my aunt bought it for her birthday, but I remember her getting it because they went out together to get it. She didn't just buy it and give it to her. They went out and got it. And I found that, and I thought, well, that's really cool. I really like that. And that cleaning the house out was really hard. Oh, Pollen. Oh no, that's a great one. Oh, thank you. Dugan Boy 9502. I appreciate that. I got an interesting comment. And then this is from John. Happy Sunday from Reno, Nevada. That's awesome. My sister just moved out to Henderson. Is that what it's called? Henderson? Yeah, I think so. They were living in South Florida, and she has rheumatoid arthritis, and her doctors were like, this is not the place for you. It is too humid here. You need to go. So she says she's had a hard time kind of getting her footing. They've lived in South Florida for 30 years, and it was It's very different. But she said that she wasn't sure what she was doing there. I was like, well, it's I think it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world to um, live someplace where you don't have what's happening in Florida with property taxes and not property taxes, insurance. People's insurance has quadrupled down there, property insurance. So, oh, thank you. Yeah, this is the let me see this one. This is Faro and Company. This is golf. This is the Racemaster Golf. This one's quartz, and then this is Faro. This is automatic. And I love both of these. These are great. I think Faro just does not get enough attention. People just don't talk about it. To be honest, the company's been around they're 11 years coming up. And these are great watches. I absolutely love wearing them. I get a lot of compliments about them. People ask about them a lot. But I do think that Faro watches are pretty cool. One of the other things too is Abington Company has a really great line of race watches as well. This is the Jordan, it's a Cobra because it's the Shelby Cobra color, right? And so the Golf, if you understand racing at all, Golf is Golf Oil used to sponsor, and their colors were orange and light blue, and this is very iconic. And then I would say probably the Shelby, this cobalt blue and white is probably because it was the Shelby Cobra. And then they also did this awesome all black one. So this added to my all black collection. And while this is the same line, they use different movements. This is Mecha Quartz. And they actually, I think she might be, no, I think it's up. No, it's upside down. Right side. It was upside down. It's out the right side up. I think this is selling out or they've got it on sale, but I think she might be discontinuing this one. I'm not sure. Abington also has this really cool bracelet. If you can see that, it's a chevron. She based her bracelet on a chevron, and she did that specifically because she said that chevron is something that you see in aviation, you see it in motorsports, you see it in equestrian events, you see it in all kinds of like things. And since her whole thing is about adventure, but one thing about Abington too, I will tell you, most of my followers are men. When you go out to Abington's website, the very first thing is it's like, I think I remember the slogan. Watches for women who do more. Don't make the mistake though of assuming that they're not watches for men in this line. You have to look for them. And she is very specific about why she started the company, because she's a pilot who could not wear the Breitling Navitimer. It was just too big. It was 47 millimeter case. She couldn't wear it, but she wanted that E6B flight calculator. So she started talking to other women pilots who said the same thing. And she's like, well, I'll just make it. And almost 20 years later now, she's going strong. I think it's a great brand. Let's see here. Let me get back into about collecting automatics. Interesting question. The thing about collecting automatic versus quartz, you have to just think of it in terms of how much money do you want to spend on maintenance. Quartz watches require a battery every 4 years, unless it's what's called a high autonomy or high accuracy movement, quartz movement. And then it's 7 or 8 years, although some people who have the Cartier tank, which has a high autonomy, Ronda high autonomy, no, it's not high. It's not Ronda. It's close to Ronda. It's not Ronda. They make their own. Cartier does. That's it's supposed to be 7-ish years, 8 years, but some people have reported getting up to 12 years on one battery in their Cartier tank, which would make sense because it doesn't have any movements in it or any complications in it. So it would make sense. But, you can get into that. But there's something to just think about. Servicing a watch doesn't always cost a lot, but when you have an automatic watch, you need to take it in and have it serviced. The manufacturers will say different things. It's usually on average, it's about every 2 years. You need to have them come in. Gaskets dry up, oils dry up, gaskets can fail. Movements can just wear down over time. Sometimes if you have a screw down crown, sometimes it's really easy to strip those threads. You have to be real cautious with that, like not screwing it down too tightly. It'll do its thing. But you have to just kind of consider that it's part of the budgeting part how and the other thing too is like if you buy multiple watches in 1 year, like I did this year was insane. I just like lost my mind this year. I bought so many watches. Um, they're all going to have to be serviced at the same time. So, you kind of have to think about that too. What's your comfort level with that? Um, it's just part of the whole budgeting of watches and thinking about that. I pretty much average. I'm about 50-60 or 50-50, 60-40, and I lean more toward quartz. Um, but I don't have a problem with quartz. I don't know why everybody gets so upset about quartz. I don't think that it means that the watch is um, worse because it's quartz. I remember my very first watch was manual wind, and that was pretty common back in the day. And so quartz was kind of like the new thing. And then not long after I got that watch, my next watch was a Timex my grandparents got me when I was 11, and that one was quartz. That was my first quartz. My first watch was manual wind, and I broke it because I was a kid and I overwound it. And I think that's why it disappeared because I overwound it because I just had to make sure it was wind or wound up. But manual wind is kind of a pain because you have to manually wind it frequently throughout the day. It just depends. So I don't know what the problem is with quartz. I think it's a good mix, and I think quartz has its place, and it's never gonna, it's always ready for you. It's interesting too because with this watch in particular, I put this on today. All of my Spinnaker Flus and my Croft are automatic, except for these two, the iSpice, and they're quartz, and they're running off of Mecha Quartz movement. And I got up this morning and I was like, "Oh, I have to reset this. I need to make sure the date's right." And I looked at it, I was like, "It is right." Like, wow. And then I was like, "Oh, it's quartz." So it's like it's always there waiting for you. It's always ready. So yeah, mom's Mickey Mouse watch is awesome. I really love that. She would bring this up so often. I found another one too. It was pretty much damaged. I think she got it at Walt Disney World. It was plastic, and the case was his ears on the case. It was really cute. That one was pretty damaged. I do have it. I don't have it in the box because it's a little fragile. But yeah, I love that she went and got that, and I think she got it. She got it for her 50th birthday. I do remember that because I was in college at the time. So yeah, it was fun to see that. Um, let's see, does Pharaoh make a John? It was really great. I don't think they do. Does Pharaoh make a John? I can't read John Player Special Color Watch Black and Gold. I don't think they do. Um, and to be honest, I'm not sure I've seen that in any racing watch. If you see one, if anyone's seen one, though, chime in because that's actually interesting. That would be pretty. Um, but yeah, um, yeah. Let's see, Henderson. Let's face beautiful place. Okay, yeah, yeah. I thought Henderson was nice. From what I heard, they were in around South Florida. My brother and sister, or my brother-in-law and my sister moved up from there because she had rheumatoid arthritis. So that's what we were talking about. Let's see, where are we on time? So one of the things so it was just about the channel itself and some of the things I've been thinking about for the channel. I started the channel in February, and we are at, I don't know where we are. We're well over, I think, 3,200 followers now. Blows me away. I'm blown away by that. Um, just for YouTube statistics, on average, in order to get monetized, which is sort of a benchmark for YouTube channels, you get pushed more if you're monetized. If you're not monetized, they don't care. So you have to get monetized. You have to have 4,000 watch hours, and meaning 4,000 hours that people actually viewed it, and then viewed your content, all of your all content in aggregate, and then 1,000 subscribers. And when you hit that, then they start sharing the ad revenue with you. And on average, most 99%, 98% of all YouTube channels do not hit that at 12 months. Mr. Beast, who's the biggest YouTuber on the planet, didn't hit that for 2 years and 300 videos. And which is, he just took him that long to figure out how to make it work. So this was actually, for me, I got monetized in February, March, April, May. So 3-ish months, which was a big deal. And my the one video that really kind of monetized the channel was the one about the AliExpress watches. And I'm not really doing AliExpress anymore. That was quite frankly an accident, and it was kind of funny to me that I just had all these AliExpress watches. I just was like, "What the hell?" I didn't intend to do that. I just started buying them because they're kind of like potato chips. They used to be a bargain. They're not now. They're not now at all. They're actually getting very expensive, and I think the tariffing is an issue. The de minimis is a problem. They're having to absorb that cost, and they're absorbing the cost by raising the prices. So they're not quite the bargain they used to be. Um, so you know, that's that's a direction I'm not going in anymore. One of the things too about the channel, someone had just posted that they were enjoying the content and said, "Pick up the pace." So just a level set. This is a hobby. This was meant to be a hobby. I really was like, when I talk with my friends and family about watches, their eyes glaze over. They don't want to hear it. And I just thought, well, I could just talk to myself on camera and have all you guys watch, right? And that's basically what happened. I never really thought it would blow up the way it did, though. But me being me, um, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. And I've been tinkering with how to make this work and how to get the algorithm to pick up the video in order to push it out. In the last few videos, it's very, very much done that. Um, there is one video that the character watch video that shows 124,000 views, but that I tested out running a campaign, and I will never do that again because it completely skewed my data. It was pushing heavily in all over the world, and it messed up my data. And on top of that, it looks like if you didn't know it, you would have thought that was like the most popular video, but it from the outside looking in. But for me, when I look at it, that video with 124,000 views made like $2.50. Right now, the one with micro brands that's I think it just cracking 5,000 views. That's made I think $12. So it's I'm still working this out and trying to figure out how it works. But getting back to pick up the pace, getting content out. I've been playing with this idea of do I put a lot of content out across the month and kind of not spend as much time on the production, or do I spend more time on the production? So I'd be interested in what you all think, because the production videos, these last two I did, the 5 watch collection that's blown up and this micro brand, the 5 watch collection, there's 60 hours of work in that. The micro brand, there's probably close to the same, probably not quite as much because I had some stuff already set up that I could just repurpose. But I don't know how you all feel about that. But when all those watches are moving in and out in those videos, that's every one of those images comes off of the website, the manufacturer's website. The image has to be downloaded. I have to open it up into Photoshop, knock out the background, crop it, and export it out as PNG. So every one of those, that's the process. And somebody would say, "Oh, we'll use batching in Photoshop." Doesn't work because they're all different sizes. Sometimes they're a screenshot, and because I can't get it any other way, and the cropping is different. So where the crop would actually sit on the watch is different. So until Photoshop figures out a way for AI to do that for me, I have to do it manually. And right now, the whole channel overall has only generated a revenue for me of just about $270. Got monetized in May, and I've made $270. So I mean, honestly, if I could, I'd do this full time. That I started this intentionally because I really wanted to start doing content. I have another channel in the works that'll be more about leadership and organizational structure, and it's based on a book I've been working on. So that's coming. But my full-time job, I'm a vice president of creative services at a large corporation, and that's a full-time job. I've had anywhere between 5 and 9 direct reports since I've worked there. Company's going through a pretty big reorganization right now, and I lost some of my team. It was a very bad day in June, and that's this is nights and weekends. So I love doing this, and I love that you all are watching it. I love that you found me because I didn't expect it, did not expect it. I love that you guys are here today too. I really appreciate that. because I really just I'm really excited about the channel, and I've talked with some friends and my therapist and everything, and they're like, "This is seems like this is what picked you back up," and it kind of really is because I've told this story of having lost 115 pounds, and that was started in uh, July 14th, 2024, and as I was losing weight, I was kind of coming back to life a little bit, and then found my watches and that was what I unpacked and found the Swatch watches that I thought had been stolen 15 years ago, and just that got reignited the watch thing for me because I had all these watches sitting in boxes that I wasn't wearing, and then started thinking, hey, let's do more, let's do more, and then from there just was like I wanted to get back into talking about it because I've always been a little bit of a geek about this. I think it's fun. I've always been fascinated with watches, though. My parents had friends who had cuckoo clocks and grandfather clocks, which I just thought were amazing. I was thinking about it the other day. My grandmother gave my dad for Christmas one year one of those ball bearing clocks where every like hour and every I don't know 5 minutes it drops a ball bearing onto a track, and then at like 1 o'clock the whole thing drops and like hundreds of these dozens of these like ball bearings hit the ground, hit the bottom, and start feeding themselves back in. My mom was like, "Your mother hates us." Because it's like 1 o'clock, you hear this brrr, all this crap coming down. Um, but even that, I was fascinated by that you could tell time that way. A lot of the high horology that they do. Van Cleef and Arpels does some amazing watches, and again, they're women's watches, so you might not see them, but because you're just not in your purview. But if you ever are just bored, go out to Van Cleef and Arpels and look at their watches out there. They're the things they're doing are amazing. They are very much like the merging of jewelry, fine jewelry, and a watch, and telling time in a way that makes absolutely no sense. Like it's just a complete different way. One of them is like it's a disc, and it's just all these flowers on it. And the way you tell the time is by the petals opening and closing. It's unreal. It's just unreal. Cost $500,000, but and it probably only made like two. But it's that type of thing I'm fascinated by. Just absolutely fascinated by. I have a friend also. He's kind of brilliant. Um, he would buy old clocks from like the 17th century, 18th century, even 19th century, and they would be in pieces in a box, something in an estate sale or something. They would just be in a box, and he would take those clocks, put them back together, and he could tell which of the gears and components were missing by what was not there but should be, and then he would have those machined and made, and he'd get those clocks put back together. It's fascinating. Now, it took him months to do this. It wasn't like he did it in a day, but and it was a hobby. But that type of thing was that to me is fascinating. And then it goes back again to these whole things. My first watch chimed. My first watch was a Minnie Mouse watch because the Minnie Mouse watch chimed. And I have never been able to find this watch. I have no idea. I believe Bradford made it. I can't find it anywhere. Would have been late 60s, early 70s. But that's the reason why I wanted it because it chimed. And it fascinated me knowing that my parents' friends had the grandfather clock and the cuckoo clock, and that you could also have a watch chime. So now that Christopher Ward's released this Bel Canto and then this new one, Loco, is that what it's called? Um, Really expensive. I'm not sure I would ever wear it. I have seen it at watch shows. It makes a statement on the wrist, that's for sure. I don't think it's particularly attractive. I think it's all about the movement. That's what I appreciate about it. I think it's fascinating. And the story of that, if you haven't watched, go out to Christopher Ward and watch the video of how they came to that chiming of the bel canto, and then how they then went and added that to the loco. It's interesting. It's because they just had watchmakers that were like, if I did this, I could make it do this too. It's really fascinating. Just love that. Let me check back in here real quick. What is my ethnicity? This is tricky. My mom's side of the family is Polish. Definitely know that. My dad's side of the family, we're probably best described as American. We thought we were Irish, but my uncle was doing our genealogy, and there was a 60-ish year span that he couldn't connect us back to where he thought we were supposed to be in the Irish side, but he thought it was closer to the Dutch side. And My cousin then picked up what he had done because he's 95 now. She picked it up and started working through it. She got us back to the Mayflower. We have on my dad's side, we have a direct line right to the Mayflower. There was a guy on the Mayflower, I can't remember his name. He has his own Wikipedia page. He lived for a really long time. He was very old. I believe he had 4 or 5 wives and, like, I don't know, dozens of kids. And so a lot of people in the United States are related to this guy because he had a lot of kids. And I'm talking like a lot. I feel like the number 67 comes to mind. That seems like high. That could be in my mind. I don't know. I would say 20 kids is a lot, but a lot of people are related to this guy because he had so many kids. And she was able to get us straight back to that. Dad's side of the family, though, always was considered Irish. My grandmother knew that the name of the family name used to have an O apostrophe. Come here. He's gonna bug me if I don't do this. Here's Louis. He wants up. And so then it was like, is it O? Is it Von or is it Van? Because if it's Von, it's German. If it's Van, it's Dutch. And if it's O, it's Irish. And then it turns out we go back to England too. So we're mutts, I think. We're American mutts is what we are. So let's see. So yeah, I think one of the things for me this coming year, as I said, I have this little mini black collection, which I don't have everything here. I've got, that was the, forget what I did with that. I was doing a little mini black collection. I was doing the character watches, which I have another Snoopy coming in because AVI8 did the first Snoopy. And then now they've got another one. And there was one that I wanted. So I've got the other one coming too. And so that's, that'll be, I should be coming in soon. And then my big trend though, for coming in the next little bit here is, what did I do with that? Oh, it's right there. Spending a little more money on fewer watches. And so I had talked about this in one of my videos about getting this Junghans Max Bill. I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't want to focus. I'm obsessed with this watch. Absolutely obsessed. And this is a little different for Max Bill because Max Bill is usually in a stainless steel case and it's very black and white. And this is sort of Max Bill, obviously, is a Bauhaus. And he's a Bauhaus taught designer. And I mean, this guy, there's nothing he couldn't do. He got bored with one thing. He just go master something else and do it exceptionally. I love this watch. This was expensive. I got this for surviving the year. I got it in October, and I think it's the 4th most worn watch of the year so far. It's unlike me to wear a watch again and again, and this one I've been wearing a lot. I just love it. It's so pretty, but this was the most expensive watch. Ironically, the simplest watch in my collection is the most expensive. But I think I also just recently got the, I wanted this one too, the Bulova Surveyor, the rose gold with the aubergine dial. This is so pretty. The day I wore this, I was shopping, and I went into a Nordstrom, and a saleswoman stopped me and asked me about it. And then I went into another store, Banana Republic, and the salespeople asked me about it there too. And that doesn't happen. You know, we often think about that as like, oh, people are impressed with our watch. Most people aren't really, but when you're wearing something that's making a real strong statement, it's like, yeah. I actually got a pretty good deal on that one. There is the, this is a Citizen Zenshin. They've released a Citizen Zenshin 60, and it's a little more Gerald Genta-ish. It's got more faceted on the bezel, and I really like that one. So that one's coming too, I think. My most worn watch of the year is my Bulova Super Seville. I'm obsessed with this watch. I love it. But the thing about Bulova in general, and this watch in particular, was my grandfather had a Super Seville back in the day. And I was 6 years old, and I asked him what the Cyclops lens did. And they definitely added the Cyclops lens, which is kind of hard to see on camera. But I asked him what Cyclops lens did, and he just sat me down and he walked me through every part of the watch. And I really, truly think that's what set me off on watches, because I was interested in clocks. And I do have a small collection of Art Deco clocks. One of them is my grandfather's. It's a Bakelite clock. I have to wear it. I have to hold it with gloves because Bakelite is loaded with formaldehyde. Um, but it's I really got me into it. I think was him, and my grandparents were watch people back in the day. A watch wasn't a nice to have; it was a have to have. And so I do have, actually, I do have that one watch. This is my grandfather's. Whoops! Don't fall. This is my grandfather's. This is the last. This is a Bulova. This is the last watch my grandmother got my grandfather. About 2 years. I think this is circa 1980, and I love this watch. And some idiot at K Jewelry stuck the wrong size battery in it and broke it, and I've never had it fixed. Look how thin that is. That is dress watch, and it's 34 millimeter. So this is one of the things too, is a lot of guys get really a little twitchy about anything under 38 millimeter. This was standard size for men back in the day, and this is this big case thing that we do now. 41 millimeter is big on me, and so that's all my Swatch watches are my old Swatch watches. My original Swatch watches are 34 millimeter, and this is, I don't know if you guys have this. So I got that Minnie Mouse watch when I was 7. My grandparents got me a Timex when I was 11. They got me another one when I was 14. And then when I was 18, I bought my first watch, and that's this one. And this is Swatch Pinstripe from 1985 collection. And I've told this story in another video. I think I need to redo that video because it's not getting a lot of play. But I've told this story of standing at Lazarus Department Store in Castleton Mall in Indianapolis, Indiana, debating whether I could afford this watch. And I believe it was $35, but I was broke, man. I was broke. And this was to have this watch, and it's still ticking. It's 40 years old. It's still ticking. So when people are like dumping on Swatch, it's still Swiss watch, and it's still ticking 40 years later. And then on top of that, one of them is this one's broken, but this is McGregor. That's the second one I bought. And this one was a kind of a big deal. That one's also still ticking. I bought that one that's the 85 collection. There's one that I had to put away because the strap broke so badly. This one is Nautilus. And this one's 40th anniversary will be this coming year. And I'm hoping Swatch will re-release it because this was the one that everybody loves. I love this one. I absolutely love this one. I had to change the strap, and you can see how it is supposed to be clear, but you see how yellow the case had gotten, yellow-brown. If I wear this outside, this case turns dark brown. There's a fire retardant that they impermeated the plastic with back in the day. It was a requirement. And that fire retardant, that chemical turns the clear brown. They don't use it anymore. They don't need to. But having those watches there, I don't wear these that much. I do wear them sometimes. I don't wear them that much, but I love having them, because how often can we say that we still have the first watch we ever bought and that it still works? That's crazy. So I have quite a few more. I stood in line to get Mission to the Pink Moon. I put a Wrist Buddies strap on this. If you do have moon swatches, Wrist Buddies, this strap is phenomenal. And I have it for all three of my, all three. The reason why is, I don't know if you can see that, it's flanged at the bottom and it just holds the case in place. This doesn't move, right? And so if you've ever had silicone straps and you've put them on, you can see how they start pulling away from the case and it looks bad. This is so tight, it looks integrated into the case. I'm surprised Swatch hasn't stolen this from them, but I did when I got this. I got the pink strap for it. The pink, because this was back they were still doing Velcro, and I got the pink rubber strap. It honestly looked like I'd wrapped a stick of bubble gum around my wrist. And I was like, oh, that's not going to work. So I got this. These are not cheap. This was, I think, $75. And then I got Mission to Uranus, which this was the first one I got. And I really love this. This is a very good summer watch. And then the other, this is, Swatch's chronographs are really good. This is called Primarily Green. I really like this watch. This is a really good beater. And I'm cautious with my watches, especially my Swatch, because the crystal can scratch, but this is a real good beater. And then my This one I got this from a secondary dealer in Spain. This is called Days by Daisies. And this took a minute to get, but I got this one because my mom's favorite flower was daisies, and I got this not long after she had passed away. And so every time I see daisies, it's like my mom saying hi to me. And so sometimes I just like to have it. When I cleaned out my parents' house to get it ready for sale, I had that watch with me. I didn't wear it during the day. I would wear it when I would visit family or friends. But I was there for a week cleaning the house out. Was a crew of 3 guys, 4 dumpsters, 4 days, $13,000, clean that house out and get it ready for sale. It wasn't good. And then we only sold it for 25 grand, which is crazy because my car costs more than that. But it was not in good repair. It was, my parents really started letting things go toward the end, more so than they let us know. And my dad's dementia was advancing in a way we didn't understand until after my mom passed away, because she was really compensating for him. So did I just say Castleton Mall? Yes, I did. Yes. You familiar with Castleton Mall? I'm assuming you are, since your handle is Pacers. Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Anderson, Indiana. So yeah, and that's where I was going back to, was in Anderson. So yeah, I spent a lot of time. I worked in the Castleton Mall. I would eventually work in that Lazarus, and I absolutely loved. It's funny to me. I started my professional career in public television as well. I started out as a board operator. Back in the day, I used to run television through a board, giant board, and then became a production assistant. Went to Indiana Farm Bureau and worked as a video producer director there. Went down to Florida for a while to try and break into film and television down there. Gave up. Recognized as I was sitting in the basement of a public access television station, editing on very rudimentary equipment, a capital fund, I forget what they call it, capital campaign for a church to build a new church. And I thought, wow, I am not Steven Spielberg, and I am very far away from what I plan on doing. And I was doing PowerPoint I was working part-time, and I was doing PowerPoint, and I am responding to chat, but I'm responding live. Yes. I had an ad pop up. Yeah, I can't control that, the way that they do this, the live, they do the control. So I apologize for that. I've tried to, the only thing I control is how much I can minimize the number of ads. So it does come up, but I am responding if you can hear me. But yeah, you're a fellow Hoosier. I figured, since you were a Pacer. Yeah, I honestly remember when Pacers came to Indianapolis. That's how old I am. I got distracted here. Where am I? I was talking about this. Honestly, is how I think. By the way, this is the reason why it's so hard for me to record, because I have to write everything down. Let me go through most worn watches. Bulova Super Seville is number 1. My Seiko Alpinist is number 2. I love this watch. It took the Seiko a really long time to figure out people love this, and now they're doing different iterations of it. But this one, to me, I love it. This one was based on, I think, the Sarb, and I think the Sarb is actually pretty cool. This was 3rd most worn, which is a PRX, Tissot PRX. This one, I don't know if you can see it, but it's the chameleon dial. You see how the color changes? It turns violet at the bottom there. I'm obsessed with this watch. I love it. Tissot just released a new PRX in a 38 millimeter case in titanium, and then they did that one in Damascus steel. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden everybody decided Damascus and Timascus is the thing. And we're going to be seeing that a lot this year. I am surprised. I saw this, and then Tissot released this, and 2 days later, I was seeing it everywhere. It is just like, actually, I had seen it before, though, because Bulova used a Timascus dial on their Bulova jet pilot as a special edition, with an artist named what is it, Diego Rosenhole, and he does a little moon space guy who's a mouse, and so they had released that. It was a special edition. It was $1,600. And I thought that was really pretty because it looks like stone. Damascus and Damascus, what is that? Damascus is a way of taking two different types of steel and folding them and folding them and flattening them and folding them, and it creates a pattern. And you get two different colors. Damascus is doing the same thing with titanium. And then titanium can be treated so that you get this beautiful rainbow of colors. It's really pretty. It's like purples, violets, blues. It's very pretty. And it looks like stone. You're going to be seeing that a lot this coming year. I'm surprised. I'm even seeing there was a guy on Watch Crunch who's creating his own watch, and he is doing a Damascus case and bracelet, which is probably very expensive. I can't imagine. It's probably gonna be very expensive. Oh, you do? You have the SPB 122. Cool. Let me get back through here because I'm not answering everybody's question. Glad everyone's enjoying the channel. One of the things I talked about, some of you have joined, is just have I ever been to Muncie or Kokomo? I spent many, many years in Muncie because I went to Ball State. And I worked at the Muncie Mall at a department store called Elder Beerman for a while, and Ford's Menswear. Kokomo, my aunt and uncle, my Uncle Tommy and my Aunt Betty and my cousin Melissa lived there. So have been to Kokomo too. And so I think there's still, Melissa's not there anymore. I think she's moved to Logansport. I think she's in Logansport. And then, so I've been mostly all over, because when I worked in Indiana Farm Bureau, I had to drive all over the place to videotape farmers, to video farmers for projects I was doing. And one day I drove from Indianapolis down to Evansville, and then went to Terre Haute, and then eventually worked my way up to South Bend. And then, in one day, I went down, kind of up, all the way up, back down. It was a very long day, and I was exhausted. And I was back at work the next morning at like 8:30 a.m. You can do that when you're young. I wouldn't do it now, but it was a company car. So let's see. One of the things that came into, I did mention these, the character watches. I think I forgot to mention this one. This was the newest Popeye that Spinnaker did. Look at the profile on that. This is a high domed crystal, and it creates a really interesting effect. It's super shiny, very reflective, but it is super cool. I wasn't sure about this watch. It came on a yellow diver strap, the ones with the wavy. Well, I couldn't get the wavy secure enough on my wrist. It was moving around too much. So I had this Faro and Company leather strap. Actually, I kind of like it. It kind of works. I like the idea of a yellow strap, but that strap was it was annoying me. And because this is so top heavy, I needed this to be secure. So this actually worked really well. But I'm a little obsessed with this. They still have this. They did a black version of this with the black case, and I almost did it again where I bought two, and I was like, I can't keep doing that. But that one was Popeyes in grayscale. He's all black and white, and then the case is black, and the strap size is really cool. So I really love this one. This one I've been wearing a lot. Actually, it's moving up the chart. I've only got a few days left before I start over on my spreadsheet. I don't know if anybody does that. I was gonna screen share, but it's on my other computer, so I can't. I keep a spreadsheet. I don't know if you guys do that, but I have 74 watches, which I know that's insane. I have a problem. I keep a spreadsheet, and every day I note, I have a list of them, right? And so the spreadsheet is a drop down, and I just select the watch I'm wearing. Then I have another tab in the spreadsheet that tallies up how much I've worn the watches. And then I've got another spreadsheet where I copy and paste that, and I sort it by most worn, least worn. And I find that really helpful. Now, even if you have like 5, I don't know. For me, it's been very helpful because it's shown me part of the reason why I'm not all that interested in AliExpress watches anymore is because I'm not wearing them. I'm just not been wearing them. I wear some of them. I have a funny story about one I'll tell you in a minute, but I don't wear I don't wear them. I'm just not wearing them, and I don't really know why. They're nice watches. Almost every one of my AliExpress watches that has a bracelet, there's been some issue with the bracelet. They obviously put their money in the watch, but the bracelets are always just not finished in a way that I would like them to be finished. Now, when they cost $60, right? Okay, fine. But I don't know. I just feel like I've kind of gotten into I think the thing that turned the corner for me was when I started seeing some of the brands that I'd been buying starting to do homages to watches like Brew. Um, that bothered me because I know the and Trafford, now Trafford is getting that too. And that bothers me because I know that the margin for those companies is very narrow. And um, one of the things I did see a video where Jonathan Ferrer was looking at one of the Brew metrics that was homaged, and he couldn't believe how cheap it was, and just how the bracelet links were hollow, and that to me is a deal breaker. That's bad. One of the things funny though, I left it upstairs. I do have a rose gold with a brown dial because I'm obsessed with that. It's a homage to the Patek Philippe Nautilus, and it's on a bracelet, rose gold, stands out. Not huge. The dial's not huge. It's actually a very elegant watch. It's one of the ones I do wear a lot, and I do like it. I had to go down to Indianapolis to sign over the title when I sold my dad's car to the dealership. So Ed Martin, and if you know from Indianapolis, and I had to go down there and sign it, right? And then I had to go to Dad's bank, and I had to see the lawyer, and I had to do all that stuff because since it's a 4-hour drive, I'm going to get everything done I need to get done, and then stop by and see Dad, who doesn't know who I am when I come in now. I have to tell him, and then it takes him a minute, and then he remembers and then forgets. Makes it hard. But I went into the dealership, and you know that scene in Beauty and the Beast where she sits down and all of the dishes and the silverware and the candelabra start singing to her about, be my guest, and it becomes this huge swirl of stuff, right? The salespeople there were doing that to me. And I was like, wow, these people are so nice, for a Toyota dealership. They're very nice, it's Toyota and some other stuff. And I was like, this is really nice. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me why have you seen this car? And would you like to see this? And I'm like, no, I'm just waiting for your office manager to come down so I can sign this over. And I'm leaving. I got the check and everything. We handled that. I got the check. I go back out to the car. I get in the car. It's a super sunny day. Put my hand up on the steering wheel. The light hit the watch, and it was like, whoa, it just started glowing. And I was like, that's the reason why. They thought it was a Patek Philippe. They thought I was wearing a $90,000 watch. That's the reason why. And it made me laugh, but it also made me a little uncomfortable because I'm not impressed by that. I'm not impressed. If I was sitting on an airplane next to somebody and they were wearing a $90,000 watch, I'd love to talk to them about it. But it doesn't make me think anything, right? Because, you could have borrowed it. You could have stolen it. You could have financed it. Many people do. And that doesn't really, and beyond that too, having worked in where the companies I've worked in, having money doesn't necessarily mean that it could just mean that you're opportunistic and ruthless. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're special. And I think that's sort of within our culture. We tend to exalt people for making money rather than being a good person. And so it made me a little uncomfortable. And that sort of kind of summed up for me why I was maybe stepping back a little bit from, yeah, Chris, we should probably connect. We might probably know the same people. But I had, I don't know. I really have thought too with all of the reduction or the elimination of the de minimis exemption, the tariffing, which is they say that they're not passing the cost on. I don't know how some of these companies can operate if they don't, and so that's going to be an issue. And I thought, well, I just really want to support micro brands, and I want to support small independent brands. So like Spinnaker, AVI8, they're not independent. They're part of a conglomerate called Solar Time, along with Dufa and Earnshaw. But I'm quite impressed with Spinnaker and AVI8's quality. And so I wanted to support those. Definitely want to support Micros. I have a Trafford company, Crossroads, coming. It was supposed to be here prior to Christmas. And Nathan Trafford sent out an email because components got stuck in customs, and they are just now getting the components. And he's like just dying. But I'm like, dude, I had to have an office manager in my London office bribe customs at Heathrow to get our annual report out, because we had shipped printed annual reports from Chicago, and they got stuck in customs, and he had to go there and bribe him. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he bribed him with. I think it might have been bourbon or something, but he had to get him out. We had to get him out. We had the annual meeting happening as he was out there, and we had to get him out. So I'm like, I've had my run-ins with customs before, more often than I would care. Almost every time I've had to do an international shipping, I've had customs issues. So it's an issue. So we're coming close to an hour. I could honestly keep going, but I don't want to waste your Sunday. I do appreciate everybody joining today. I'm going to keep doing this. I think this is fun. As I said, making the content is it's a time sponge. I mean, those last two videos were probably at least 100 hours between the two of them, if not more. And I want to do good content. I made a decision where I was like, I need to make sure that when I'm doing content, I'm putting something out that I'm proud of, but also that adds value. And I was kind of like, YouTube strategists get in your head and they're like, oh, you just got to keep posting and posting. It's like, I don't know. We're niche, right? It's a niche topic. And I really like making something that is fun. This last one, the music was too loud. Sorry. YouTube flagged one of the songs that was in it as a copyright strike, which it wasn't, but it was 2 a.m. I'd been at my desk for 12 hours by then. My contacts were stuck to my eyes and I was over it. And so I just went back in and put new music back in and replaced it in two places. And I know in one place in that the micro brand video, it's a little hot. It did force me though to go back into Premiere and learn how to alter to balance the music. So it should be better. So all these things I always learn. So what's the next videos you're doing? The next video I'm working on right now is part of this series of how to build a collection. And it's a little esoteric, I think, but it's understanding the archetypes of watches. We're all kind of buying versions of a specific watch, but every watch category has an archetype. It's that one watch that defines the category. And so we're looking at a variety of watches. This one's a departure for me because at this time I will be talking about luxury brand watches because that's the ones who defined it, but kind of talking about the history and why they're archetypes and how knowing the archetypes helps you become a better collector. And once you know the reference of the archetype, you start looking at other watches with that lens and thinking, how close is this to the archetype? Are they responding to it or are they rejecting it? It's kind of an interesting way of looking at watches, but I think it just makes you a more informed collector. And the more information we have as collectors, the more it helps us, which is why I think the 5-watch category or even a 7-watch category is helpful because it keeps you, somebody said to me, his 5-watch he has diver watches in all 5 categories. That's great. It's perfect. Because it's how you define it. But if you can define it in those ways and you know that this is how I'm using this one watch, I'm wearing this one every day, but I wear this one when I'm wearing a suit and tie. And I'm going to do this one, wear this one when I'm mowing the grass. That's, that is reminding, I should bring that up. But that's a great way to do it. I have a few other things coming through too. I've gotten a lot of feedback on brands. I've gotten some requests to do attainable luxury, and I will probably get into that because I do think that's something worth exploring, although it's not 3-figure collecting. And then I got a lot of people like, yeah, on the micro brand. Yeah, but what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? The 8 that I showcased were 8 that I have actual experience with. And that's the reason why I've at least held them and looked at them and kind of had them on the wrist at a watch show. if not full out buying them, already owning them. Typically, I like to review watches I own. I've never been given a watch to review, although two companies have reached out to me about that. We're still seeing what's going to happen. There might be more of that, and I think there's some other stuff coming, and I think this coming year I'm thinking in terms of series. So one builds onto another. YouTube itself will be changing in the coming year. YouTube is going to go head on directly into challenging Netflix. So you're going to start seeing more original programming coming on YouTube. And they have been telling YouTube creators, we're not abandoning you, small creators. It is a way to create more opportunity for you, but start thinking in terms of doing things in series. There is also another channel I'll be launching this year, which is it's not really about watches. It's about it's a leadership program, and it's about organizational change, which is what my master's degree was sort of focused in, was organizational change and leadership. And so that's coming as well. So I'm trying to sort of set this up so that I hope to be able to be a full-time creator at some point. I will be a few years down the road, but that's sort of my goal. So let's see. Thank you, Carson. I appreciate that. The ones that I look forward to doing the most, the videos, I actually like doing all my videos, to be honest. Once I get down a topic, the thing about this channel is the more I dig into it, the more I appreciate the hobby. I have to say, this last video with archetypes, 2 of them are Rolex. Now when I see a Rolex video, I'm like, oh God, not another Rolex video. But the more I've gotten into researching this company, the more I appreciate this brand. I'm not sure that I appreciate them right now, because I do not like how they're treating their customers right now. Scarcity. I do think that Mike at This Watch That Watch broke down. If you're not watching Mike at This Watch That Watch, you really should. He broke down why Rolex produces 1 million watches a year, but still would be scarce. There'd still be scarcity at Rolex boutiques. He broke it down, and he broke it down in a way it was like, okay, but that doesn't explain why Rolex ADs are treating their customers so badly. Hermes is doing the same thing with their handbag customers. You have to make an appointment. Rolex is starting to do that now too. You have to make an appointment. If you are 1 minute late to that appointment, they are going to shut the door on you, and they're not going to see you. But they might make you wait for 2 or 3 hours. I don't like that. I just think there's no reason to be mean. I've read on Reddit that people have said they've gone into Patek Philippe boutiques without an appointment, and they were nothing but gracious and cordial. And Patek Philippe watches are starting at a significantly higher price, and are much more rare. So I don't like that. But the more I've learned about Rolex, though, I do appreciate what this brand has done. And it's things we take for granted. It's just some of the things, automatic watches, date windows, we take these things for granted. But it was Rolex who was the first one who did it. And Rolex took watches out of the 19th century and brought them into the 20th century. So that's been interesting. But every time I do a video, I have to be excited about it. I have started videos that I have stopped. I have recordings of videos that I never edited because I was like, I don't know. I just don't feel it. I do have one, though. It's about, it's about the Junghans Max Bill. I've been working with this. I actually talked with Junghans and their marketing director, and she sent me all kinds of information because I want to do a video about Max Bill in this particular watch and why this is important, because the thing that drives me crazy as a designer, when I hear people say minimalism and they say Bauhaus as the sort of the word for minimalism. Bauhaus is a minimalist movement, but minimalism isn't just Bauhaus. It's a lot of other things. And so while Max Bill obviously was Bauhaus trained, by the time we get to this watch in 1962, he's designing in a very different way. Bauhaus influence, but not strictly Bauhaus. So I wanted to do a video about the watch itself and then really talk about, as designers, we hear a lot that people think that minimalism is fast, cheap, and easy. And it's none of those things. It's none of those things. So I want to get into that more and talk about that and why it's not. Because people will see, Teddy Balazar did a whole video about why movement, that brand movement, why he felt it was so offensive. And he wasn't really, I think, able to put his finger on it. But the reason why was because the guy that started the movement was just trying to create a watch to sell to a conglomerate, which is exactly what he did. Movado Group bought it. And quite frankly, now movement watches are looking much better. But the idea that, oh, well, minimalism means I don't have to do anything is ridiculous. Minimalism requires perfection. It requires extreme attention to detail because there's nowhere to hide. And as a designer, I just want to sort of like weigh in more on design as it applies to watches. I have been doing this thing where I've been putting watches on a grid because in graphic design, we work on grids. And one of the basic creators of grid theory, one of the three, is Max Bill. And so when you apply a grid, which is a radian grid, meaning it's a lines coming out from a center point, you put a 60 line grid out on a center point, things like the Speedmaster don't make sense. They don't line up. And the reason why is because it wasn't designed. It was built around, it was engineered around the movement. That's one of the things I'm talking about in the archetype video. So I could go on and on. Dream video. I would like to be, sorry, I'm getting real close to my mic. It's probably really loud. I would like to be able to be more mobile. I would like to be able to talk to people more about the back end, how they're coming to things, how things are made, why they chose what they chose. Kind of like, I don't know if you watch Diary of a CEO. I'd like to just be able to do interviews with like founders of watch companies and just say, let's have a conversation and let's let it go where it goes. I'd love to be able to do that. That requires a lot of research. And the amount of research I'm already having to do, plus the amount of production, once I can get the channel somewhat generating enough revenue that I can hire help, you'll start seeing changes. But it takes a while. The way that happens is getting a lot of content out. And so what I've been doing in the system that's been working for me is I do the long form video. I take it into Opus. I cut it up into shorts, anywhere from 15 to 90 seconds long. And then I put a short out every day about 3 days after the video launches. And then that ties back to the video. And that helps the algorithm know that I'm still here. And then that gives me time to do the next one so that I don't have to rush. I am going to do more of these live streams though, because this is actually pretty fun. And, we'll just keep kind of pushing that out and seeing what happens. I think if I do more live streams, that also helps. The thing is that as YouTubers, we are at the mercy of this algorithm. And to watch you put a lot of time and effort and energy into a video and you put it out and then it just lands like a thud, it's frustrating for that to happen. But you have to figure out the algorithm. Now, the great thing is Google just attached Gemini to YouTube's algorithm, and Gemini is doing the review now. And since that's happened, I'm seeing a change. And I think that's good. There's the other thing too I talked about in the last video, which was the height points. The height points are on your phone, and you might not see them. It's not rolled out everywhere, but it's only on your phone. But the height points are kind of like a like on steroids. And when I start getting hype points, I start seeing movement in the video itself. And so that's a new one. And they created that one specifically for small creators because YouTube wants us to be successful. They make money if we're successful. They don't if I've got, I've got 3 videos out that I've done once every other month and they've got 5 viewers. They're not gonna make any money on that. But they can make money on a video that even if it's like 5,000 viewers, 1,000 viewers, they make money on it. And so they really want to promote that. So yeah. Let's see. Let's make sure I got everybody answered before we go. Yeah, this is talking about not looking down on attainable watches. That's where I collect. I cannot, this is one of the videos I do want to do. I can't wrap my head around spending $10,000 on a watch. I could. I just, why? And and the thing is, when you start buying watches over time, 74 watches, clearly I have spent more than 10 grand, right? But I have 74 watches. I like the variety. And as I said, I'm not impressed by someone's watch, and I'm not trying to make anybody impressed with mine. I like to talk about watches, and that's one of the reasons why I like character watches because people will talk about them, the SpongeBob's in particular. But I don't know. I'm a little weird in that way. I think it's too. It's coming from a background of scarcity, and growing up that way, and recognizing having worked as hard as I've worked to get to this level of vice president and all that that entails, and then getting here and thinking, okay, this was it. Okay, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I got my master's degree. I'm glad I've been able to achieve what I've achieved. But I just remember working at Deloitte when I first moved to Chicago, and these guys were flexing on their Rolexes like you would not believe. But that was in the Chicago office. In the New York office, it was Patek Philippe, and they looked down on the Rolex guys. And in the San Francisco office, it was something different. I don't think it was Vacheron. I can't remember, but it was another brand, and it was very much like whatever office you were on, you could tell by the watch. And I was like, "You guys, this stick measuring contest is ridiculous. Stop. What are you doing? Why? Just be confident. If you're confident, it shows." And I don't know. It's like seeing really wealthy people wearing a Timex. I think Bill Gates was wearing a Casio for many years. Um, I was really impressed with Idris Elba at the press conference wearing a Brew metric. Oh, that was really great. So I can keep rambling, so I'm going to stop. Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to let it go. Let's shut it down. I'm going to do this again, but thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. If there's anything you are interested in hearing about more of, I know I got a long list of brands for micro brands. I'm going to have to do a follow up to this last one because so many people came back, and as I said, I could keep going on and on and on about that. And so there's a lot. Micro brands are exciting. There's more to come. But if you have any brands in particular, let me know. And so I really appreciate it. Thank you all. Until next time, stay complicated, and I will see you in the Watchosphere. Have a good day.